tell bring his ass back.
You've probably heard of a viral YouTube creator that goes by the name Mr. Beast, but have you heard anything controversial about him recently? Most likely not. This past year, he's been racking in tens of millions of views with ease from his over-the-top videos, which consist of some crazy acts of kindness. On the surface, it may seem like Mr. Beast is a good guy who has a clean track record without any internet beef. Usually when you think of Mr. Beast, you think of all the wonderful acts he has done, and you never think of him as someone who would do anything bad. But is there a dark side to his nice guy personality that no one knows about? Well, a few weeks ago, Mr. Beast was planning a charity event at a local grocery store in Greenville, North Carolina. It was going to be a good day for the local residents of Greenville, North Carolina, but that certainly wasn't the case, since everything went horribly wrong and people think it was all Mr. Beast's fault. It seemed like there was no way something can go wrong though. So what caused this particular event to go wrong? Let's start from the beginning and make our way to a final conclusion. Just a few days before the incident occurred, Mr. Beast set up a meeting with the employees at a grocery store called Piggly Wiggly. During this meeting, he discussed potentially creating a YouTube video where he would pay for a select few people's groceries. Essentially, he was just trying to get permission from the managers to film the video. The employees and managers were ecstatic of this news. In fact, they were so ecstatic that they began telling their friends and family about this, which they were specifically asked not to do so. This meeting was supposed to be very low-key and no one was supposed to know about it except the employees of the company. This was the first big mistake that caused the whole charity event to come crashing down. The rumor was spread that Mr. Beast would basically be paying for everyone's groceries. Soon enough, it came to the point where people began spreading the rumor on the internet. People were saying on social media that Mr. Beast himself actually bought the Piggly Wiggly store and was going to give everything away for free. It just goes to show that you can't believe everything you see on the internet, and soon enough everyone knew about this charity event, which was the complete opposite of what Mr. Beast had hoped. But nonetheless, all was going good until the night before the event. What had happened was the store denied permission for Mr. Beast to be able to film this video last minute, but it was already too late. People called out of their jobs and were ready to go to the store first thing in the morning to come up on some free groceries. And when the day came around, before anyone got the updated news that Mr. Beast was not actually going to show up, people were already lining up and loading up their shopping carts with mountains of food. It was an absolutely chaotic scene.
Now nobody knows what's going on. Y'all, this crazy. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
People were taking advantage of this opportunity, which you can't really blame them for, since they were loading up on groceries for the next few months. There were people hoarding unrealistic amounts of food that would probably go bad before they can even finish eating the food. They were expecting Mr. Beast to bless them that day, but they were totally clueless of the fact that Mr. Beast was in fact not going to bless them. After a while though, the employees had to break the news to the customers that Mr. Beast was not going to show up at the store.
Mr. Beast is not coming today due to security issues.
No, Jesus, no, tell bring his ass back.
And I'm the one to get to tell y'all so.
Oh God, get him.
Anybody intending on getting groceries on the regular, Mr. Beast is not coming today. There are security issues. He can't even get here.
And after this terrible news, what did the customers do with their huge carts filled with groceries? They simply left everything as it was and left the store in disbelief. The aftermath videos were going viral, and immediately people began to blame Mr. Beast for this tragedy. The poor Piggly Wiggly employees were affected most by this whole situation. These employees were responsible for putting all of the groceries back into their designated spots, and they were so overwhelmed to the point where volunteers began helping them.
Guys, I'm not liking it right now. So the story is that Mr. Beast decided to say that he was going to come to the store, and then he does not come to the store because there are too many people. So now you have all of this chaotic mess, and I'm over here putting it back.
Very shortly after though, the store ended up closing early for the day so the employees can recoup their inventory and organize everything. So what did this mean for Beast? Well, essentially, from first glance, you may think that Mr. Beast was totally at fault for this failed charity event, and that's what a lot of people did think. But I think that's a totally unfair thing to say about him. He specifically told the Piggly Wiggly managers to keep everything on the low, but of course, they couldn't keep their mouth shut. So in the end, whose fault is it? I think you can blame the employees and managers who initially spread the false false info, which they were told not to do so. But you could also blame the customers who tried taking advantage of Mr. Beast's generosity. Although I wouldn't really blame them for just trying to come up on some free groceries, the part that really killed it was how greedy and self-centered the customers were. They were hoarding unrealistic amounts of food which they didn't actually need. I respect the dedication, but you gotta limit yourself at a certain point. The worst part was that they simply left the grocery store a mess without cleaning up after themselves whatsoever, basically ruining the employees' whole day.
Update on the Mr. Beast situation. We're still cleaning up. It's been 2 hours in and we're not done putting everything back. They literally took everything off the shelves. We made some progress, but we've had messes on the floor, sticky like that. It's bad in here, man. And we're not even halfway done yet.
It sucks that Mr. Beast was genuinely trying to make someone's day and a bunch of people decided to ruin it for everyone else. The worst part is that his reputation was at risk because of this whole situation, even though he had no ill intent from the beginning. So what was Mr. Beast's response to all this? He actually didn't publicly state his thoughts on the situation, but he did send over a text to Keemstar. We have been going around town all week doing small acts of kindness for people who could use help. I wanted to go to Piggly Wiggly to discreetly pay for some people's groceries when they checked out, so we asked the Piggly Wiggly manager for permission to film in the store. They decided to spread the word far and wide that I was coming to buy out the store. People were saying that the employees were telling them the day before to come the next day to get free stuff from Mr. Beast, which we were not aware of, and asked them to not tell anyone. Basically, the employees lied to the people. Mr. Beast basically blamed the fault toward the employees who couldn't keep their word with him, which was a good point. I think his view on the situation is very fair. Mr. Beast wanted to do something nice for the people and was going to pull through with it until something out of his control ruined the entire video. I'm sure the employees didn't have ill intent with their actions too. They were just trying to look out for their family, but the word spread very quickly and soon hundreds of people found out about the news. It was a snowball effect. When you tell one of your family members, they're gonna tell their friends, and the snowball continues, which ultimately ruined the whole charity event. The people expected to pull up, get a bunch of groceries, and dip out, but nobody expected the situation to get blown out of proportion like this. This is kind of what happens when something is too good to be true. It just goes to show how a good thing can be ruined very quickly if you try to take advantage of it. Now this sort of leads me to another point. What would have happened if Mr. Beast actually pulled up to the store? Well, first off, it would be a very surprising scene for Mr. Beast of the amount of people already waiting in line for their groceries to be paid for. He just expected to walk in there and choose a few people to pay for. I'm sure he would have walked right back out of the store if he had seen that huge line of people. But on a serious note, based off the videos that went viral, the whole place was packed out, so it would probably make for a safety issue for Mr. Beast since his fans would most likely start hoarding around him. I think this whole situation could have potentially been worse if Mr. Beast actually showed up after all. But anyways, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that Mr. Beast was indeed not at fault. I think this is a situation where people on both sides of the argument can learn from the mistake. It was wrong of the employees to spread the information, but they were just looking out for their friends and family. I guess Mr. Beast knows now to be more cautious